Hey everybody, Sharif here. I'm just creating this video to do a follow-up to the one that I just showed, and I want to show you how to do a time lapse on the DJI Ronin 4D because there's no videos online where anyone is doing a time lapse or showing you how to do a time lapse. So basically, for those who do not know, I don't want to assume anybody knows, or we shouldn't assume that anybody knows how to do a time lapse. So basically, I'm going to take you through the steps on how to do a time lapse on the DJI Ronin 4D. So the camera is already on. What I do is I check my settings here. I usually shoot in full frame, but that's totally up to you if you want to shoot in full frame or Super 35. I usually shoot in full frame, ProRes RAW. You do not have to have ProRes RAW on this camera, nor do you have to shoot in ProRes RAW. I like to shoot in ProRes RAW because it's just like editing a photo when you put it into your editing software. Everyone knows that when you edit photos, it takes a lot of time to edit 300, 800, 1200 photos at a time. You put them into Adobe Lightroom or whatever editing software that you use, and edit all those photos. You have to export them out, then put them into another software like Final Cut Pro, put them together, make a time-lapse video. The great thing about this is already a video when it comes out of the camera, and you just have to color grade it, and that's what ProRes RAW allows you to do. Just gives you a lot more flexibility, but does not have to be in ProRes RAW. And because I'm shooting in ProRes RAW, it's automatically 6K. So we go back out here, and basically we're just gonna go into the settings, how to shoot a time lapse on this camera. So basically, full frames per second, that is going to be the most important setting that you have to go into to shoot a time lapse. And of course, you can shoot it in any of these modes. 24, 25, 29.7, 30. I usually shoot mine in 30 frames per second, but you can either go higher. But I usually shoot mine in 30 frames per second. But the most important feature is the S&Q mode. And S&Q means slow and quick. So we want to have that on to do the time lapse. And then you'll see it automatically go to this one. So you have the 1 frames per second, 2 frames per second. And I usually shoot in 1 frames per second. There are times I will shoot in 2 frames per second, but that all entirely depends on your situation, how you want it to look and things like that. We all know that 1 frames per second is gonna give you more of that motion blur. 2 frames per second, you still get the motion blur, but it's not as much. So let me go to the other settings here. Now, I'm in Texas. It gets very bright outside during the day. Usually, I would end up anywhere from 128, 2.1, or 256, 2.4 ND filter. And of course, once you switch that, that's going to determine your iris. If it's going to be 7.1, 8. Usually, I end up during the day outside, I usually end up 7.1 or 9. I don't think I ever went beyond that, but I could be wrong. But like I say, all that depends on your lighting situation. I'm just telling you in my situation. But the most important thing is that S&Q mode. You need to have that on in 1 frames per second. And this camera takes excellent video, excellent time-lapse videos where it look just like if you did it with photos and things like that. So let me see here if I'm forgetting anything. Oh, one more thing. So you may be wondering, okay, well, how long do I need to leave it on? Of course, you can clock yourself and things like that. But the easiest way for me and how I've learned is you see the duration, make sure it is on duration, not TC, unless you want it on TC. But duration is going to work a lot better for you. So when you hit record, as you can see, it starts recording. And when this hits about 15, you can start recording, because then you'll have at least 18 to 20 seconds. Most time-lapse videos, as we know, are only 10 to 20 seconds long. You have others who can go a lot longer, but that's your preference. But I'm saying, if you want to get to that minimum of 10 seconds, 20 seconds, just let this get to 15. And as you can see, it's not even like this says like 1.23, but the numbers are jumping. So it's just recording. It's doing a time lapse. So this is not necessarily in minutes until we get to here. So let me put that back over here. So when that hits 15, You can go up to 20, you can go up to 30, but that just, you know, that's just, hey, you're gonna have 25 seconds, 30 seconds, whatever. So I just let that get to about 15 or 20, and I'll have my 18, 20 seconds or a little bit more. And then I know I can stop the camera and I'll have my time lapse. Now, let me go in here because I recently shot some time lapses over the freeway, and I'm going to show you some of the things. Now, I know this screen is kind of bright, so you might not be able to see it. So I'll put the video, the finished video up next to this video so you can see the final product. So let's look at this one. And as you can see, that's your time lapse. So let me see what I shot this in. This was 1 frame per second and 30 frames per second, ProRes RAW, 6K. Like I said, I shoot all mine in 6K. So let's go over this one. Look at this one. As you can see how smooth it is. And it's in D-Log on this one. So 1 frames per second, ProRes RAW. Let me see if I have any more. Let me go here. So as you can see, very smooth time lapse. You can get very good time lapses out of this camera. And it's going to save you a lot of time. So people that are shooting time lapses and want to save time, if you own this camera or you're thinking about getting this camera, it can definitely do time lapses. I wouldn't suggest getting this camera just for the time lapses. That may be a little bit overkill. But if you already own it and you've been wondering about doing time lapses, things like that, this camera is an excellent choice. Now this one, I did shoot 2 frames per second, ProRes RAW 6K. So let's look at this one. So as you can see the difference between the 1 frames per second and the 2 frames per second. So let me go back to the 1 frame per second video. I think this one is 1 frames per second. As you can see, going a little faster, a lot smoother. Like I say, don't worry about seeing this screen. I'll put it up, the finished, the color graded, the edited version up on the screen so you'll be able to see it. So yeah, so that's going to wrap it up. You know, if you ever wonder if you wanted to do time lapses with this camera, it's excellent. And in low light, I did some night shots with this, time lapses at night. And trust me, the images they look good. So you can definitely do a time lapse with this camera. So basically, that's it. I hope I didn't miss anything. And if I did, please let me know. But if you found this video informational, please like, subscribe, leave a suggestion, leave a comment, share it. And if you have any suggestions for me on maybe how I can do a better job at doing these time lapses, or you seen something that I missed that would explain it a lot better, then please let me know. I'm open to all suggestions, all advice. And you know, we only can get better what we're trying to do. So I've only been shooting time lapses with this camera for a few weeks. I had it over a year, and I was using my photo camera for the time lapses. But I said, oh, let me really try to give this a go on doing time lapses on this camera. And I'm telling you, it saves me a lot of time. So it'll save you a lot of time too. I appreciate you watching. Like, subscribe, share your thoughts, and until next time.